Hello there, welcome back to the Japan Game Junk Podcast. Today, I'll be going over the first of a few stores that I visited in Oyama City of Tochigi prefecture. This city is probably the very, very outskirts of what would be considered the Tokyo metro area, as it does have a train station allowing a somewhat quick link to Tokyo. It does have a Shinkansen stop, a bullet train stop, and so it is, for those who need to live here and commute to Tokyo, less than 1 hour away. However, I did not go by train, of course, I went by car as always. Oyama City is actually right, I used to live in Yuki City of Ibaraki many years ago, and I lived about a 10-second walk away from the border of Oyama. However, that was a very rural part of the city, and yes, near to Oyama Station, you can find a lot of stuff that's worth visiting. Great restaurants, a lot of shopping, and indeed, it's worth going there, but probably only for shopping around if you are going by car. Near the station, not so much to get as far as used game stuff. However, the first of these stores is the only one I would think is close enough to this station to be walkable, and that is a hard-off store, perhaps a couple kilometers away from the station. And this hard-off store of Oyama City, I have had some luck there finding things from time to time. So, what did I find there when I went there on this date, on March the 31st of 2024? Well, here are some of the things that are kind of noteworthy. The first thing that I noticed that was kind of out there was in the glass case in the front, near the entrance, was a copy of Kiki Kai Kai, which is kind of the same series as Pocky and Rocky, Rocky and Pocky, Pocky and Rocky, that was released in the US and in the West for Super Famicom, Super Nintendo that is. I do have the original one for Super Famicom, got that cheaply, but the Game Boy Advance version must be much rarer because this one had the manual and the box looking like new and tested 70,000 yen. At the moment, it's about 150 yen to the dollar. Very, very weak yen right now, but still, that is super expensive. They did have, in fact, the internals of the cartridge photographed right beside it on the shelf inside the case, so that you could see that it was not the like a cheaply made Chinese copy that are sold now in aftermarket, ROM that's just flashed onto a reproduction cart. This was the original, and 70,000 yen. I can't even say if that's good or bad. I don't know, but that's expensive, right? Anyway, that's there if you want it. What's next I saw in the case was a Game Boy Light system. The Game Boy Light is probably the best way out of the unmodified hardware to play original Game Boy games. It's got that, Dayglow light, the, kind of like that old-time, wristwatch, the very soft green glow to light the screen, and very, very nice. It's like basically a Game Boy Pocket with the light attached, or light installed internally, of course, not attached like a Light Boy. And here it was a very, very typical 17,600 yen. I have yet to find a Game Boy Light in normally good condition, normally able to be used good condition for less than 15,000. I have seen them before as low as 5,000, but with that weird darkened screen, like an old screen that's still playable but looks really awful. I've seen that before, but yeah, 15,000 is pretty expected, but if I were paying this much, I would expect to at least have the box and stuff with it. Even in Akihabara, you can find some for less than 20,000, including the box, so I'd skip that one here at this hard-off store. Next, something that's kind of an oddity. It doesn't look like it is for the Super Famicom, yet it is. It is the modem for the Super Famicom. Like, it's the actual modem unit for the Super Famicom, modem software. Like the one where you have the cartridge itself needs to connect to the modem to connect to the wall to access the internet. And that modem itself, it looks like a modern router, a modem router, router. Like a black box, from a third party. That, along with the 10 key, like the number 10 key in the middle of the Super Famicom controller set was about 3,000 yen. As an oddity, that's pretty cheap to have for a collection, but I had no need for it, and so I left it on the store. You can go pick it up if you like. Also in the showcase were loopy cartridges, Casio loopy cartridges. Unfortunately, they had two, just the loose cartridges, and they're both the most common games. There is the Doggy Love Story and Dream Change, the first two games I got as well for the system. And yeah, they were 1,000 yen each. I'd say if you were to find them in the wild, that's about how much they usually go, but it really is hard to find loopy cartridges, so if you just need to have one, there you go, 1,000 yen. Also, very much like new was a copy of Galaxy Fight for the Neo Geo CD, 1980 yen, 1,980 yen. It is very difficult to find Neo Geo CD games of any type, other than probably some of the Samurai Spirits ones, and the earlier King of Fighters ones, for less than 2,000 yen. So this is the first one not of those I've seen for this price, just for a normal, good version copy, not a junk copy of the game. Let's see, next up, Pepsi Man, everyone's favorite PlayStation game. This one is just the most expensive I've ever seen it, but it's in great condition. It's like new, 19,800 yen. It's kind of crazy. The cheapest I've seen it before was just disc only for about 3,000 yen, and usually in the case it's about 10,000 yen, so twice as much, but it did look wonderful, and it's very crisp. Even that, check the manual, it looked like the corners were crisp. This is very much a like-new copy of Pepsi Man. 20,000 yen is, it's enough to buy, a Switch, so, like the system. But if you want it, that's how much it is there, and, yeah, I would pass on that unless you really want to have it look mint. Although mint Pepsi sounds pretty disgusting. Next, the last thing I noticed there at the store was the Scramble, the old LCD game. I think it was popular all over the world, but tested and working, and in the box, 5,000 yen. I don't know if that's really so good or bad. I've seen them loose before, just the machine, for a few thousand or whatever, but it looks in good condition, and if I wanted that, I might have picked it up for that price. Seems like that would be pretty good. But that's pretty much it for what I saw here. This is a combination hard-off and book-off store. For those who don't know, book-off and hard-off, both popular used stores in Japan, although not owned by the same company. The hard-off chain, the owner there just really liked book-off and kind of asked their permission to make a similar store. And they kind of partner up sometimes, but not the same chain. Anyway, the most interesting thing for me was there was a shoebill, hornbill, whatever, shoebill, pelican-looking bird, I'm a big fan of that bird. And they had outside in the capsule toy vending machine for 200 yen, these little figures of those birds. I thought that was very neat, very cute. But even then, I kind of didn't get that, and very, very uncoolly and very, very, nothing to be proud of, but the only thing I ended up purchasing on this visit, despite seeing many things that looked to be of interest for me, was a copy of Call of Duty Infinite War for the Xbox One, because it was completely complete. Everything was inside, and it looked all nice and crisp, and it was only 300 yen, and I thought, you know what, just as a game in the collection, I'll get that. And you know what, again, remember that in the future, when everything's all digital, you'll want to have physical copies of games when they've gone offline or whatever, just to be able to keep playing them. So it's good to have these things for the future. Just pick up all the cheap games you can, and you'll thank yourself that you did that one day in the far future. But yeah, shoebill birds, and Pockies and Rockies, and all the way to some Calls of Duty. It's a pretty decent store and worth visiting compared to the other hard-offs I've mentioned so far in this series. And yeah, if you're in the area, check it out. Not worth a Shinkansen ride from Tokyo to go to this one store, but if you're there, you can go to that store, as well as the stores of the next couple of episodes I'll be putting out, and you'll, you can see an interesting part of the country. Very popular with international people, but for working in Japan, not for visiting. A lot of people here working in factories in Oyama City. A lot of people from Brazil, South America, and from Asia. it's a place to go. Thank you so much. Hope that you're having a wonderful day or night whenever you're listening to this. And remember, the junk is out there.